Thank you so much for being with us here today, Ginger Leopoldo. She's an educator, an actor, a director, a community organizer. She's a proud founding member of Pintig Cultural Group, and she's the founding artistic director of the Center for Immigrant Resources and Community Arts, CIRCA. Her work includes performing, directing, producing, and facilitating theater productions and workshops of all ages. The ENERI Access series has been so lucky to have just a few minutes here today with Ginger Leopoldo.
Thank you so much. First of all, I just want to thank you for having me as a guest on your show. I'm definitely so honored. What a wonderful way for us to celebrate Asian Pacific American Heritage Month, being together like this and talking about our work.
We're just going to show a few little scenes from some productions over the years. I myself have been lucky enough to see you in many things, but here's just a few scenes featuring Ginger Leopoldo. You are one busy lady. I met you through the artistic world is when I first met you. I saw you in a production of Mr. and Mrs. La Cuesta Go Dancing, and Joe Yao was opposite you and was phenomenal. I believe that's the first time I saw you act, which was many, many moons ago. And I know that you're a great mom. And I learned recently that you're working on your PhD. Where are you finding the time to do all this?
Yes, thank you. I love that play that Noel Alum wrote. I believe when we first produced it, it was back in 2009. Mr. and Mrs. La Cuesta Go Dancing, a one-act roller coaster ride. And it's just, again, one of these riveting stories that we're able to tell to hopefully enlighten, bring awareness to those who are watching this. And I always
It was very eye-opening. I had not read it going into it, and so it's very eye-opening if you had not read the piece.
We did have a virtual stage reading of it last summer in 2020.
And I actually tuned in as well, just because I'm such a fan of yours. You don't know this, but prior to me going out to see you, I had heard a lot about you from a mutual friend of ours, and I had not actually seen you act. So it was wonderful to get to do that.
Thank you. Yes, well, after that work, then we were also able to do work with A Squared Theater Workshop and a whole series of My Asian Mom. And I know you'd always been such a wonderful supporter of the work.
Oh, we had so much fun. I am just longing for those days when ENERI can sponsor some more opening night live parties and we can all do that. I mean, virtual is wonderful, and again opened up the audience and the reach, but yeah.
Live theater would be pretty amazing. And this is why some of us who are actors love theater over maybe film, TV, is because of the synergy, kind of just the magic that happens when you're performing live. And
those opening parties, come on.
Definitely. I think when we were asking for photos, I'm thinking, I don't know if I have any production pictures, but
plenty of opening parties.
After cast party shows, yes, photos to share.
Ginger, would you please tell us about CIRCA? I know we're having the 30th anniversary of this wonderful group. Tell us what it is and where you are today with CIRCA Pintig.
Pintig is a Filipino theater company that started back in 1991, and I was one of the founding members. We are celebrating our 30th anniversary this year, and it has been made such an impact on my life. We're also part of CIRCA, which stands for the Center for Immigrant Resources and Community Arts. So about a decade after Pintig organized as a theater company, we decided to have more of an education arm and one that focused on working with the youth. And so that's how CIRCA came about. And now we have been a combined organization. So currently we are non-for-profit called CIRCA Pintig. We've just been having some wonderful ways of adapting to everything that's gone on with the pandemic. Pintig is a Filipino word for pulse or heartbeat, and that's what we sought out to do. It was back in 1991 when we all came together to work on a production called America's in the Heart. This was based on the novel by Carlos Bulosan, one of the early Filipinos who came in the 1930s and 40s. We would call him a manong. And he just spoke about his life and his experiences and many of the struggles that he faced being a Filipino, arriving here in the US.
Did you tell me in the pre-production that you might be doing this particular piece again? Can you tell me something about this America's in the Heart? I love the title.
Yes. So now that we are celebrating our 30th year, we've actually gone back and kind of reflected on all of the various productions and all of the various topics and issues that we've covered, and coming back to looking at America's in the Heart as a way to also discuss the same struggles that we are experiencing now is something that the organization is planning for. Well, I've stepped into the role of executive director currently. And so we do have Louis Pascasio stepping back in as well as our artistic director. So we do have some wonderful plans, especially around education and around just building community and creating dialogue.
I know that CIRCA has really pivoted well during this 2020-2021 pandemic. Could you talk a little bit about the Monthly Beats program?
Last year, when we all had to be in lockdown, we definitely weren't able to do in-person productions. And so one way that we were able to adjust was to have virtual open mics. So it had been some time ago when we started those monthly beats, and essentially it was a way to create space for artists to share their work, whether it's their music, their poetry, their dance, their films. And it was just a wonderful time for all of us as a community to come back together in this sort of virtual realm. And it's
it is now May 2021, and things are moving along differently this year. So we're really hoping that we get to see CIRCA Pintig live very, very soon. Tell us a little bit more before we move on about some of the special plans for the 30th anniversary this year.
This year, as we proceed, we're going to continue with the monthly beats. In March, we actually had a International Women's Day celebration to honor International Women's Day and History Month. And many of our events have become more global now that we are virtual. We can organize our productions on an evening, and it could be in the morning in the Philippines. We've been able to work with other artists across the country as well as in Canada, and that's just been a real wonderful thing, actually.
Yes, actually, many artists have been telling us the same thing, that that's actually a good thing, right? That has come out of the pandemic, that it's more national and international in scope in terms of reach.
So our website is www.circapintig.org, but we're also on Facebook, CIRCA Pintig. We're also on other social media as well. And if you Google, search on YouTube for CIRCA Pintig, you'll find us there as well. And shows a lot of our virtual productions.
Thank you for talking about that. I know that CIRCA Pintig has a mental health initiative component. Could you just tell us a little bit about that part of it? I know that's been important during the pandemic year, right?
Definitely, yeah. So it has been a few years now. We've had a partnership with a wonderful professor, Dr. Rushi Hasnain at the University of Illinois at Chicago, and she's with the Department of Disability and Human Development, and she would bring us in as a partner, as an artistic partner, to help her students who are doing research around Asian Americans and mental health and disability. And our students would be storytellers who would actually be storytellers who would meet with storytellers to collect stories, and we would work with the students to develop them into monologues or into plays. And one of our last productions pre-pandemic was our third episode, or our third production of Silencing Stigma, Reclaiming Life. And so these are also true stories from the community that touches upon a lot of those serious topics that, many of us in our communities don't often talk about. So it's just really engaging work and really important work to do, and to have dialogue with the audience. As every production we have, we've got to talk back. Not only are we telling these real stories, but we're also engaging our artists and our production team and everyone, and really processing and seeing ways that we can have positive connection. So on our website, circapintig.org, we do have a donation button that you can contribute to.
Okay.
Currently, we do have a goal to raise funds so that we can plan, the years ahead after our 30th anniversary this year. So we do have a seed fund that's in effect. Our advisory board for CIRCA Pintig also has a mutual aid fund that we're developing, and we had a People's Artists Fund as well that we're supporting.
CIRCA Pintig is a 501c3 organization, not for profit. And if you'd like to make a donation towards our cause, please check out www.circapintig.org.